Amrita ma'am, you have to host. I'll be backstage. Ma'am, please host.
So, hey
Hi
everybody.
guys, hello. Hi Vishwas.
Hi Namrata.
I know this is a weekday and we have a session in the evening. At the end of the day, people will be tired. So we have a session today on Azure and Web 3.0, which is not a combination you get to hear every day because it is entirely new. So today, Vishwas will be taking us through all the Web 3.0 technology, how it is, how to get started, how it is changing tech space, and also how Azure can play a role in using or in building or providing infrastructure to get Web 3.0 started on it.
Yeah,
And we have another speaker who will be taking another session on complete intro to blockchain. So over to you, Vishwas. You can start with it.
sure. I think I'll share my screen. I'll get my whiteboard up. Let's just go on with all the different things that we wanted to learn. And let's go ahead. So, I think I wanted completely a full screen one so that we'll be going with a lot of writing on the whiteboard, right? So, that's why. So, full screen, not on this one. Yep. This is perfect. So let's just go ahead, grab a whiteboard, and let's just get it started. So simple as that. Let's just start with the basics of blockchain. So we get to know, okay, where is our knowledge in terms of the blockchain and how can we enter the world of Web3? Web3 is very huge, right? So comparatively, when you think of other different places where blockchain has been really being used, there is a huge demand that has been created in the market. So we'll go with the history of blockchain. So I think Satoshi Nakamoto and all these guys will be coming up. So why was there only a white paper on blockchain given, but like all the in the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, but we're not yet compiled with the knowledge base of where was the origin of blockchain, because blockchain is huge. Everybody knows the potentials of it, and everybody knows the pitfalls of this technology as well. So Azure moved away from the blockchain environment completely. Like there is no end-to-end support, but we were trying to do a lot of Ethereum demos, Quorum demos, and things like that, right? So we'll be talking in terms of an Azure infrastructure point of view, like how is it supporting, and like N series of the what do you call the VMs can be used here. Of course, we'll be going through a lot of demos using that. I think the Bastion is ready up now because the Bastion takes a little bit of time, and we can go ahead. So let's just connect. All right, a pop-up blocker, allow the pop-up blocker. So this is going to be an Bastion infrastructure, which is going to be much more secure in terms of attachment to the VM and a lot of things, right? You know, this is a Linux based system, right? We don't have to do much here. We just have to go ahead, start working on it. And I think this is the best way to host even a website. So should I get it installed? Apache 2. Apache 2 will do everything. www.var. Uh, HTMLs and everything will be always there, so you guys can go ahead, host your website on there, and you're sorted. So this is what it is, right? So let's just move ahead and just start compiling a lot of code. So you can have an SSH key and other things compiled, but I just have an code and everything will be sorted. So we'll go ahead with the history of it and the evolution of cryptocurrency, because we need to understand why there was an evolution of crypto market. So evolution of crypto gives you that slightest understanding of what was the need of the hour when the crypto was initialized. And of course the blockchain nodes. This is where quorum demos and everything was being taken. Of course, we'll be using Ethereum remix, so stay tuned for that. Don't worry about that. And also there are mining. I can start with mining easily, but we need to go a little bit of an history of it so that we will go ahead. So there are different algorithms like consensum and everything. So we will not be touching that because that's an advanced topic. Low consortium deployment is also an advanced topic. So we'll be keeping ourselves limited to the tokens and everything. Got that? And later on, we have a blockchain use case and how the Bitcoin and everything. So blockchain use case. So this is what I have designed for today. And let's just start with the history of it. So the history of blockchain started off by saying to the scientists, like, how are we going to define an entire infrastructure which is decentralized, and also as ledgering policy, which is just going to be so transparent to the entire world that everybody knows how this technology is working and how the data moves in and out of it. So there is no hush hush of saying that, okay, there's a secret data moving in, there's a secret data moving out, and everything, right? So all of these were actually thought in order to enforce security. So security became the number one factor here because a lot of times we literally thought, okay, what if the system gets hacked? So in order to just go away from all that complexity, in order to move away from all these kind of things, this is where distributed ledgering technology was also introduced in the blockchain, and which is also a decentralized approach here, which is also going to give, which is actually going to have records spread in multiple regions. So this is what the purpose was. So if you keep it in the multiple purpose, getting hacked is impossible. So this is what they thought about. Then lately over a course of time, okay, so now we have a purpose. So let's just go ahead and define some rules here. So this is where blockchain is public or it's a private entity today as well. So let me just say Ethereum, until and unless you have 51% hash rate, you can't really do anything much there because you're not the king of that entire infrastructure. So you can define your own NFT, you can define your own blockchain, but yet there is still a gap that you are still facing. So this is where public and private blockchains are also in the use. Market is still using it. Let me just give you one example about it. SQL Ledger is there in Azure. So this is a kind of an Azure infrastructure which is primarily based on a blockchain, but yet it's a serverless database. Which is going to define all these kind of different technologies that is there in the market. So this is where you are using all these kind of concepts and you're now coming up with something like, hey, can we make it much more useful for the world tomorrow? Of course, yes, blockchain is useful. Then we'll go ahead with participation around the world. Yep, I think. Hello. All right. Sure. I think Chetali ma'am is here. I think we can go ahead with Chetali ma'am. So it's just public and private things what we are talking about, and now we think Chetali ma'am can come in.
Hello all, good evening. Thanks for having me here.
Hello, Miss Chaitali.
Yeah,
Thank you for
Vishwas.
joining us, and uh, please, you can take the stage as we are know you are on your time constraint today. So welcome, and also wish you a happy Women's Day first of all, before I forget. And yeah, you can share your screen, ma'am. You
You
can
sure?
take the session from here.
Sure. Thank you. Are you able to see my screen? Hello?
It's probably might be loading. Have you shared your screen from the StreamYard option? Have you taken that?
Yeah, just a sec. Yeah, I have shared my screen from the StreamYard itself. Let me try once more. So I have shared the entire screen. Hello, can you hear me?
Ma'am, I think basically, I think probably you're not yet visible. So I think probably just stop the share screen and start the share screen again.
Yeah, that's what I tried. So when I'm starting the share
I think Varun
screen,
has to be there. I
I'm
think
directly.
Varun, you just see whether the screen is visible and just get it done.
No, ma'am. Actually, your screen is not visible yet.
Okay,
Okay.
do one thing, Chaitanya ma'am. Just refresh your browser and join again. So I
Yeah,
think
now it's
probably
visible.
that.
Now it's visible.
Yeah, now it's visible,
Are you
right?
able
Now
to
you
see
can.
this?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see now the PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so today, as already you have started, Vishwas, sorry I got delayed, and I could hear few of your sentences where you have started talking about the blockchain and detailing part of it. So the topic is about Web 3.0. So Web 3.0 is actually a very vast topic, and really we are in a time constraint right now, but then I'll try to cover as much as possible. Many of you are aware of it, whoever are listening or will be listening to this, but yet I'll just try to take you through different concepts and what are the trends currently happening and gradually gravitating towards how we are leveraging that with Azure platform. So Web3 is actually the decentralized web of future. This is the sentence or this kind of buzzwords we hear across, so what is actually Web3? I mean, as per the definitions what we get over the internet, they are telling that it is actually an extension of the World Wide Web, so which is based on blockchain technology, and it will definitely incorporate the concepts like the decentralization. So whatever platforms currently we are using, they are very centralized. Centralized in the sense we are adhering to that particular platform, whether any cloud platform or social medias or everywhere. So there is a central location and we are getting our services or our products or our APIs or wherever it is, and we are interacting even for the transactional e-commerce wherever you see, even the gaming platforms. So this is the protocol kind of thing which is there already, is Web3, that totally talk about the decentralization and token based economics. So a lot of discussions are here and people are doing a lot of research, a lot of use cases are being built. So the main crux of it, to move away from the decision making authority should go to the user. So they are actually trying to give us the more control. That is the main the crux of this kind of platforms. So they are insensitivizing people that they want to contribute and they want to grow the data, they want to grow the economy further, and they get the reward as tokens. So how did we get here? So we all know from the history of the internet, when it has started in the 90s somewhere, where the information economy, they say, basically it all started with different kind of search engines, and then there are a lot of this explorers where we are searching the web all across, and publishers who are very specific, like you can see here, I have mentioned some of them. So they used to control what content has to go or what the user will get it. That was totally with certain people. Then gradually, people are, and the technology is evolving, the technology landscape has been growing further. So then in the early 2000s until now, we are very, very used to Web 2, or that is the platform economy, they say. So, what do you mean by platform economy? Was I was telling about which controls the web, whether you go for social media platforms or you go for, say, YouTube or any kind of other platforms. There are different platforms. We come together, we interact, and do our transactions or do our work. But gradually, the Web3 is, which is right now already there, where people are actually directly interacting without any medium intervention, and nobody controls the web as such. So that is the token economy. So basically, the Web3 term has been coined by the Ethereum co founder Gavin Wood, who actually coined this term in 2014. So, what is his objective or vision towards it? That they hope to construct a peer to peer web where every user is interacting with other without any intermediate parties, that let you do everything you wanted to do, except there would be no direct authorities controlling or any other site you have to pay for anything, or there would be no servers, a free flow of information exchange, but yet it will be secure and depends on your consensus. So this kind of economy is giving shape to the Web3. And again, if we see here how our the capabilities are being increased here. So what is the evolution journey so far, and what the user is actually getting? So earlier, when the 90s are there, and it was just a very nascent stage, the internet was, that time we used to have those static web pages, and the the content creators were writing, or somebody is providing something, the others are on a reading mode. And gradually, now till now, everyone are actually consumers, and the contents are getting created. Even we can create a lot of contents, and there are big corps who are actually handling or owning the overall data what is there across these platforms. And since we all know that data is a new oil, so it's not a new oil right now, we all know about it. So the data ownership has become a very, very big factor nowadays, where privacy is a huge concern over these days. So this is one of the place where right now the platform economics people are questioning. So in Web 2 or the current state, what we are able to do, we are reading or we are writing it back or something. But then the data is not always in our control, though it is getting towards a creator economy, but the data is somewhere beyond our control. And we are often the commodity that is always there. But then what this Web3 is promising us or showing us a different way, where you have full ownership over your content, over your data, over your assets. And you all must have heard about the Metaverse, which is right now the biggest tech trend. Everyone is talking in the industry about it. So the vision is to have an open interoperable space where everybody can interact with anybody, definitely in a virtual world, but then they can travel with different places, or transact with different people, yet they will have their trace that who owns the asset or who owns the data or who owns a particular algorithm or an object. So everywhere it is clear, secure, traceable, yet they are all interacting virtually. So that is what the token economy promises. So you can read, write, which is already there now, but still you can own. And now, like, if you see from a user perspective, or how the user is interacting overall towards this Web3. So one way earlier, what we used to have is your profile was owned by some company. Wherever you are logging, they are keeping the things and you are happening. And currently what we are used to, the second part, if you see the web 2, your profile are used by several companies. You are actually logging into their authenticated portals and they are having access to your data, or they are actually having visibility to what are the activities you are doing, and you are getting authorized and you are interacting. And then it comes to web 3, which is giving you the flexibility to deal with your digital money. So even the currencies are not a constraint. Wherever you are, that is not a constraint. Your profile is owned by you, and in the entire world, wherever it is feasible or it has been accepted, you can actually interact virtually with your digital profile, digital currency. So that is a big power in one hand. On the other hand, there are a lot of constraints we know that everybody talks about, but the Web3 is actually constructed over this, where we automatically talk about different currencies or the Ethereum mainnet, like what I have shown you here, where people are actually transacting through their digital wallet, and also the blockchain. So overall, Web3 is constructed on the basis of these technologies. So if we go a little bit further, what are the words which Vishwas already started talking about? Is the blockchain being the main fundamental base, and then comes the crypto. We all know about it. People are dealing with it. They are trading. There are downfalls. There are upward trends. So crypto is everywhere. So the Web3 economy consists of blockchain, consists of crypto. There are NFTs, which are on all-time high trend nowadays. Then I told about Metaverse. Then there is the smart contracts. So this is one of the powerful thing what the Web3 provides, where people actually can have the peer-to-peer contract between them. And then comes the DeFi. So your all the finances or whatever you're controlling, that goes in the blockchain world. And then the decentralized storage. Again, right now, storage is actually all about you're storing either in the cloud or on-prem, your different databases and every other thing. But then some or the other, somebody owns the storage. Even someone wants to interchange the data or discuss different topics which involves data, specifically in machine learning training. So this kind of things. Everywhere there is a barrier that who owns the data. Most of the researchers or most of the business also, they are looking for the relevant data of it. So this one of the biggest thing what Web3 provides is the decentralized storage. So the benefit is uh, they can actually have this decentralized storage, and yet they can transact with the data. So exactly why Web3 is so unique? That is because couple of things I tried jotting it down here. So one way the Web3 provides you different type of capabilities. So as I told you, the peer-to-peer network. What is this P2P? So a decentralized network that dissolves the need of a centralized authority. But then how does it do that? Through the smart contracts. The third thing will be here, the enhanced connectivity. So the metadata, what is there across the, in different nodes of the blockchain, they are all connected to each other, even if they are not being, like corrupted or being hacked or any other things, but they have the visibility that this data resides. And if the two people who owns the data, they can transact with each other if they are actually agreeing to their their contracts. And then this ubiquity. So every device will be connected to the network. Contents can be accessible by various applications. So whether it is an edge device or whether it's in a server somewhere in the cloud or on-prem, you can just trace them. And definitely the artificial intelligence, which I was talking about. So from NLP to any kind of AI practices, which needs volumes of data, and still they wanted to have their models trained or something, even they can use this feature of decentralization. And then comes this semantic web. So it better understand the contents of the web rather than focusing on keywords and numeric values. So anyway it is there, but Web3 also leverages them. And then the 3D graphics. So everywhere we are actually going towards a decentralized world. So basically, blockchain, which Vishwash already has explained. So what is this blockchain talks about? It is basically a distributed ledger, right? So the ledger has connected blocks, the block of information, and how the data is managed in them. So if you see a simple diagram, I just have picked up to make anybody understand that how a basic blockchain works. So this is the block of data, and this is the ledger where it is notified, and this is the distribution. So these are connected to different nodes and other data blocks, and here the transaction happens. The transaction is being confirmed with whoever there in that particular block, and then the proof of work is there and the result is obtained. So whether it is your certificates or your banking credentials or your nowadays lot of this the social security number kind of aspects, all of the things can be taken care of through this. So blockchain usabilities, you all know, to secure the transactions. So the buzzwords what I mentioned, or the components of Web3, one is the smart contract. People can create different smart contracts while interacting in Web3, and they can have the consensus among themselves, and it runs. So without anybody's intervention, even any bank or central authority, they can transact. Similarly, the NFTs. So everywhere, if you see, a lot of these NFTs are getting created. People are bidding for them, and there are huge transactional things happening, and there are many sites who are actually building these NFTs. So NFTs are non-fungible tokens, and these are a kind of certificate of authenticity for the digital things. So any digital content you create, they can be actually transferred to your NFTs, and they prove that you are the owner. So you have that security even when you are dealing in the outside web. And a very important thing also comes up in the Web3 economy is DAO. They call it decentralized autonomous organization. So the vision is, to make everything decentralized in the aspect of when an organization or a new version of a company where nobody controls anybody, but rather it happens that everywhere in the internet, wherever the communities are being formed, they have certain rules and they can actually adhere to that. So the whole organization or whole part of the org functions without any centralized authority governing or controlling them. Nobody is boss, and they all vote, and there is a consensus mechanism. So this DAO they call, that is a decentralized autonomous organization. So these are all the different components what actually construct the Web3. And then I also want to talk about Metaverse. So everybody knows Metaverse is nothing but the extended reality or the mixed reality world, along with you can even have your VR or AR devices, where the main agenda, which is more prominent during this COVID days, no, the last 2 years, where the world has seen an enormous kind of, isolation, where everybody is so isolated, they wanted to interact in the web world. So metaverse being one of the way, which was already there for a lot of years, the extended reality technologies, but now it is an all-time high, because everybody wanted to have their virtual presence felt, and not for just game or something else, but for there are real reasons. So even if we are secluded for any of the natural calamities or whatever, still people can interact and have their things going on. And if you see here, just for the sake of it, without going much depth into the metaverse has a lot of layers which construct it. It is a very huge world altogether. But the decentralization factor is a very important factor, and that can be achieved through Web3 or the blockchain aspects. So what I was talking about, this DAOs. So DAOs can also be used with the, this AI agents who can move in this DAO world. So in the metaverse world, if you see here, everything is virtual. Every character is virtual. So living within the internet, rather than just surfing it in 2D, this will be a 3D world where we will be having our avatars and they are like going around. So Many of you know about it in detail more further, and definitely someone or the other are experimenting with them. But then to make this kind of virtual world in reality, if there is any central platform controlling this, then it is not going to work at all, because who controls this huge space of metaverse? So one of the best aspect will be to make it decentralized. And in that case, whether you talk about edge computing or AI agents or a blockchain or different other places where the robots move around or your virtual avatars do different kind of things, there we can actually benefit out of this power what Web3 provides us. And even if the digital currencies we can use here. So in the metaverse also, this Web3 fits. And then now even talking about the technology, so blockchain is a like kind of database, but then there are many other layers to it. When we actually wanted to create our own blockchain applications, we call them like decentralized applications or dapps. There are also people who are building different blockchain networks. They are having different services what they are building on top of it. So all of this, if you see on a very high level, the overview picture for the blockchain technology stack looks like something like this. And at the bottom is where you have a blockchain as a service to control the nodes. So, what are the things? I think Vishwas will talk about them later in depth. So, one will be the blockchain mining. There are miners sitting with their laptops. Then this is the network, what I talk about, whether peer to peer or different other types of network, the decentralized network. Then there is a virtualization, which is always there in most of the tech stacks. Then there are the nodes. So, this is another very important thing, whether it is a private blockchain or a public blockchain. There are different nodes which participates in the blockchain, which is a part of the infrastructure, and the tokens. So to transact in the blockchain world, you need different kind of tokens, whichever you use, and definitely the storage. It needs a lot of space and lot of energy to build the whole thing. So this is the infrastructure layer, and then the network layer. So this is definitely the network layer for the peer-to-peer communication or the other transmissions what will occur among the nodes. Those kind of things has to be taken care of this network layer. If you see RPLX, then roll your own block delivery, depending on the use cases and depending on a different type of scenarios, this kind of network layers have been picked. And then the protocol layer. So as I told you, consensus algorithms, the biggest advantage of blockchain over normal things is that wherever there is any kind of data execution or anything is happening, that time there is a consensus needed. So this is where they are securing that nobody can tap or steal or do any kind of hacks, to your secure landscape. So those things are actually taken care by those consensus algorithms. A lot of things are there, like the side chains or permissioned and permissionless. They're EVMs. So these all construct the protocol layer. On top of it, there are servers to enable the application operations with a view to connecting with other technology and platform. So we need to run the whole blockchain platform or the whole, the capabilities what they're providing. We need a lot of data feeds. We need multiple signatures happening. We need the wallets, which are actually giving you the token to store or show, which I have already shown you in the previous screen. In the previous screen, I was showing you one MetaMask wallet. And similarly, the digital assets. So whether you deal with Ethereum, you deal with any other type of currencies, what are famous in the blockchain world, and the smart contracts, which I already talk about, and the digital IDs. Basically, your identification is totally digital. In the blockchain world, it is notified, and this becomes your signature. And also the oracles, there are different oracles in the DAO world. And I told about the governance or the DAOs also, the decentralized autonomous organizations. And a very important aspect will be the data feed, how the data is coming to the network, and the off-chain computing. So there are online on-chain, off-chain. So those kind of stuffs are actually the part of this layer. And the final layer which we all interact, most of us are familiar with, is the application layer. And I talk about the DApp browsers. The DApps are nothing but the decentralized applications. And there are also browsers like the Brave browser and all those things which deal with this kind of things. Then the application hostings are there, and different programming languages which we need to build the blockchain tech stack in Web3. So this is a overview kind of thing. And if you see here, I just tried capturing quickly that how the people are actually interacting. So if you see at the right, there are enterprise applications, and the data consumers are actually consuming the enterprise applications and they are working with them. And the data owner are providing them to the client applications. They're having their SDKs, and it goes to a trusted program which runs, and it is having all the key services how to interact with different client and enterprise customers. And this is the layer of the blockchain where the smart contracts resides, transactions are being recorded, the consensus happens, and the ledger is there. So all of these are communicating among themselves, and ultimately all of these are stored somewhere, whether you can put it in cloud or any other mechanism, but they are also being recorded and stored. So this way, the a bird's eye view kind of thing for the technology stack. So Vishwas, anything to add or talk about here, or I can go forward?
Yes, ma'am, you can go forward.
Okay. Yeah, so since the topic today is Azure blockchain, so Azure has actually built blockchain services earlier, and people were consuming them. They have started it quite long back, and if you see here, there are SaaS adapters there who have adopted those services, and Azure platform has different kind of other services which the blockchain services also leveraging, and they used to have their own enterprise ledger platform as Azure Blockchain as a service. And even there are other platforms which were integrated with them, like Ethereum, Quorum, Coda, or Hyperledger in the Azure platform. And then there are client apps who used to interact and build them. So Azure as a platform is also providing them to host, and also used to provide them a lot of blockchain services. Recently, they have retired those blockchain services and has partnered with Quorum. So Quorum is also a very seasoned enterprise grade Ethereum platform in that context. And Quorum also provides the blockchain service, which is quite scalable and very flexible. And a few of the things what they say, that it reduces the cost. They have increased the speed to market and quick to consortium, which actually at times take times. And also they provide some other facilities to mitigate the risk for deploying things into blockchain. Deployment ease is also there, and quite low code. So most of the times people have to code heavily to get into this, which they have tried to ease with their service. But still you can use the Azure platform for hosting things, and then you can leverage the benefit of Quorum also. So yeah, I'm almost end of it, and thanks a lot. So I'll be transferring this back to Vishwas, and let's see. Okay. Hello, Vishwas, can you hear me?
Ma'am, we
Yes,
have a
ma'am, I
question
can.
from our audience, and they
Sorry.
want to ask, is blockchain and cloud any way of integration or have any co-use together?
Blockchain and cloud. Sorry. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Blockchain and cloud, any way of integration or have any co-use together?
Yeah, there are a lot of actually. No, there are even apart from Azure, there AWS provides also a very good capabilities where you can actually host your. I mean, we have done it earlier. From my experience only, I am telling that we have used also AWS as a platform where these nodes or whatever we are have deployed or talked about, right? They were well there in that, and it can heavily scale to any cloud. So basically, without cloud, it becomes at times difficult also, because they need lot of resources and other things. So to cater to that, it is obviously like cloud and blockchain goes hand in hand.
Ma'am, we have another question from Lovely Singh. He asked, what career and training opportunities are there in Web 3.0?
Yeah, so the blockchain developers are very much in demand, and there are different technology stack which, for the consent of time, I could not touch base much upon. Probably someday else. So there are the Solidity developers are there who are actually working on the smart contract stuffs, or people who develop dApps. So different kind of opportunities are there, and quite a good amount of demand of them. So in Web3, so if you train yourself in blockchain or building the dApps, or say you are capable of learning Solidity, or like how to build different type of other capabilities, there is a huge demand. There is for sure.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for being part of the session. And of course, you need to have a hard stop right now, so you'll be jumping on to another meet. So yes, I'll be
Yeah.
continuing with the basics. Of course, I have
Thank you
some
very
demos
much,
on
ma'am, for
some
coming
smart
here and
contract.
taking out your time and delivering such a
Yes,
nice session on Web 3.0, blockchain, NFTs, and all that thing. It was really very
sure.
appreciable, and looking forward to have you for other sessions as well.
Of course, I'll be calling her. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks to Vishwas also for having me here. As I told you, but it's a very less time, so I tried giving you as much as possible, but it's a huge space, so Vishwas will definitely take you through. Yeah,
Yep.
and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye. And also, as Zoya asked, is blockchain and cloud anyway integration and have a co-use together? Yes, of course. Uh, if you think of what Vitalik Buterin gave out with Ethereum, Ethereum was starting down as an not as a digital currency, but as a software platform, just like your Node.js and everything. Like how Rand Dahl included the C compiler inside the V8 web engine. So this is what the beginning of that entire technology was all about, right? It was all about like accessibility. It's all about like how can we get the right essence of the technology inside the market, and market was very huge over a course of time, right? Because blockchain was evolving. Like 1 is to 10 was the price which increased. Like now it's like 250x. Like Binance has its own coin, and started out as an initial ICO, initial coin offering with 0.01 cents. I think probably if you had put 1 lakh, it would have been around 2. Or 2.5 crores today. So this is how technology is also today. So that's how it is. So start moving towards it, and lately we can go on and jump with any amount of things that we really want to go. And let me just share my screen so that you guys can get to know what is it all about. And of course, private was what I stopped at. So let me just go ahead with all the things so that you will have a complete overview. Keep all our explanations in mind, but also keep the other explanation which she is given. I think perfect that you did. And also, since she also told that it's all about that private and a public entity, now market realized that of course, can we have some sort of an public forum that can participate. So public forum participation. So let me say you one thing. There was a recent Bitcoin tragedy which happened from this Netflix show. Okay, I can't say about it, but everybody thought this is going to be the best investment and everything, but the glitch in that architecture of that entire blockchain was you were supposed to win the game or else you are supposed to lose. So that was a glitch over a course of time, and this also becomes an pitfall for this technology as well. So let's say, okay, an NGO wants to start a blockchain and they want to mint as many blockchain as they want. So just like the Dogecoin and everything. So market will be perceiving it in a different way. The forums will be perceiving it in a different way. So this is where there should also be a restriction on it, but this is also a trust built in system. So keep this in mind because you are basically trying to build a secure architecture, and that secure architecture needs to be much more trustworthy, right? So this is where they are now trying to build a trust built-in system. And now there is also something called as an verified transaction. So how many of you are very familiar with Git? So a similar concept of Git, let's say there is one transaction from one node to another, there will be an hash generated and that hash will be stored in the public ledger only. And from one node to a faraway node, there'll be one hash generated and that will be stored in a public ledger only. So this is a kind of an hashing, which is like randomization, which is a unique code. I'll show you that unique code, how it's seen today as well. So IPFS is where I store. Of course, let me just do my zoom it. Yep, I think this is working. So you can see that there are some unique codes which are already generated for my 3 Bitcoins, which I have already done. And guess what? There's already blockchains that have been created. And that is how your entire data set is being taken care. And over a course of time, if you have n number of contracts, n number of tests and artifacts which are getting generated, this works as similar to your entire infrastructure, which is more often what you can call just more of an software which can be built in onto your system. So this is how effective your entire data set is all about here. So lately, if you start running entire amount of it, there are unique codes which are generated for you and that will be unique. And you can still go ahead, drop that inside, and let me just say it's IPFS, right? Let me just compile a new one. Let me just go copy this, go here, and a new file. Of course, this is how you generate a new file. Remix ID is also there, and we'll also be going with Truffle introduction and lot of things. So keep that in mind. So example build dot solidity, and solidity is a language for it. So don't worry about that. Keep it in mind. Just go ahead and start working. I think probably there is a new file system which has come up because I already started compiling it. So let's just go to this public IPFS. I click on it and I grab this entire URL. Just see the magic of it. It knows what's the IPFS that I'll be taking in. And here you see that there is an IPFS logo which is already coming in, right? Of course, you can put this in a form of an HTTPS REST API triggers, but it's of no use to you. So let me just do this, and this, and an edit. There you go, people. There was already an IPFS which just got connected. Simple as that. You know, this infrastructure is unique for your system. Guess what? It's also unique for your entire database. So this is where your verified transactions and every other feature comes into the picture. So let's just go ahead. Let me just go ahead with the fast-based one. So of course, there was an initial creation in 1991. This is where Satoshi Nakamoto white paper says this was a publicized white paper, but the Satoshi Nakamoto is not known by anybody else today. So this is where the accessibility part also had its hit. Let me just say a blockchain interaction. Let me just say anybody who is doing smuggling can indirectly give an unencrypted message saying that okay, this is how we are going to hit them and things like that. And in that blockchain it will be having its own code, and nobody knows which kind of a code it is. And that's where also this kind of an technology is not also getting the traction, but also it's also inducing fear on us, like okay, we can have secure transaction, secure amount of communication, but yet what if it goes wrong someday? And this is where they are not abiding to the rule that okay, we are going to have blockchain technology everywhere. Of course, there is a blockchain as a service wala phones, network securities, and everything which is being done today, but there are above that as well. So let's just keep that in mind. And let's just go for what is it all about when we are thinking about the types of blockchain. Because types of blockchain are pretty much solid, because when you think of the same old public and the private wala definition that I was giving, so let me just give a public. In the public, it's all transparent. It's all going to be decentralized. It's all going to be uh, in the infrastructure. Right? Let's say I own 10 coins of ETH. And everybody in this infrastructure knows that this is the same amount of hash which has been given out for the bitcoins, and somebody is transacting it. So that's where the miner gets his own transaction fee, and there will be a new destination of it, right? And everybody gets to know it because of that hashing algorithm. And that hashing algorithm might not be unique to you, but it is there in that ledger. And this is where in the infrastructure it's going to be much more capable in order to abolish corruption. So if somebody says that, right, we don't get to know how the money is being transacted from one person to another, because that's where the fiat currency is all about. That's where the currency which you are having for an every single day is just going to be affected. But now when you're thinking about all those things, it's just going to be much more easier, because there is going to be one hash that is going to be identity. Let's say the corruption happens to be around 10,000 coins or something. One coin is around $30,000, right? And somebody can say that, oh my God, somebody is doing some malicious action here, and anything can go wrong. So this is where all your infrastructure is being secure in the blockchain. Let's say there is some Ganesha pharmaceuticals or something, right? Let's say you set a flag in such a way that on the day of expiry date, like 6 months prior, he has to get to know that it's going to expire or something like that. So what you do is very simple. You just go through all these infrastructure and get it, and there will be one notification saying that hey, expired. What do you want to do with it? So this is where the application is also there, and this transaction is also to generate money, right? So it's going to have its own hash, and it's going to have its own information. So that's where the hacking it is very tough. So when you think of the public, this is what. But when you think of a private, so it's only invited folks. Let's say Coin DCX is offering its own Bitcoin, right? Only invited board members, they are able to access that Bitcoin. So invited folks can access. Invited folks knows the transaction. I don't know why my editing went bad all of a sudden on this board. Let's say, let me just do this. And also, it's going to be high trustworthy. So high trust. So over a course of time, you can't access this entire infrastructure, but you can just get to know, okay, this is where the security is. This is where the security key is. Nobody can get to know. And there is something called as generated sequences here. It is just like cat, dog, gym, and things like this is how it is. So there will be 24 of it, and that will be the generated sequence for your entire newly generated bitcoins or any of it. And now you have it. So this is where your blockchain is also more secure. Let's say somebody knows cat and somebody knows Jim, but he doesn't knows this. The blockchain transaction will be flagged saying that there was an error, and that hash will be generated, but that will not be valid as a transaction. So this is how secure also it is. So let me just go through that quick intro of other things, which is just going to involve a lot of things which is related to mining. So we'll go to smart contract a little later, because before that I need to show the demo, right? So that's where also, so we'll go to smart contract, but we'll just go through something called as mining. So mining is basically what you are just doing is you are taking the compute compute power, and you are leveraging the transactions. So leveraging a transaction is a whole new deal here. I'll say you why. Because over a course of time, you transacted using hash rates, and that hash rate is utilizing power. And to make it more faster, you need more compute, right? So it's the same old way of CPU, RAM, and there are GPUs at the end of the day, which is just doing all that compute. This hash rate is also going to be in terms of not just one or two, but there's going to be 1 tera hashes. This is how you define that entire infrastructure. Okay, hey, there's 1 tera hash of power which is being taken care. So in order to get that, the miner is somebody who has this compute power and who is also giving this power through electricity to that compute power, and is able to just be in between your transaction, and he is going to just give you that leverage of like, hey, there is going to be a compute power, just transact as much as you can. So this is where your compute power makes a huge difference in the blockchain market. So it's always in the tariff that you take the steps, and it's always in that way that you are just going ahead. So there are different technologies in the compute as well. There is 7 nanometer, 32 nanometer chips which are used. So let me just give you one of the examples of it. I think this was one of it. All right, so let me just go take this off because it's going to be very bad. So S17 and miner. So this is what industry uses as a miner. So I have an S17 and miner here, and this is one of the hash cards of it. So I think you guys can stop the. I think I can stop the share screen, and I can show you. This is how the hash card looks like. This is one hash card, and there are three which are lying like this. And this is the motherboard of it. So you can see that, right? There are three ports. This is all 16, all solid metal connectors which are always there here, and all of these are interacting with one another. So they are, this is basically the compute power. This is going to be there with one person to another, and when the interaction happens, this has the storage of all the ashes which are coming in. So this is where compute comes into the picture. And lately, if you can think the form factor of the compute, let me just see you might think this is a bigger RAM and bigger storage, but this is 2 gigs. Yes, this is 2 gigs, by the way. And let me just show you one more. These two collectively will offer me 16 gigs. This will only offer me 2 gigs at a point of time. And this is one of the most powerful CPUs that I've ever had in my entire life. I think it's AMD Ryzen 7. Yes, it's Ryzen 7. Also, it can be an Intel. It's a field grid array. FGA, field grid array, and this is something which is there in your servers, one of your servers. So this is where you have it. Zen architecture is taken care, but Ryzen is more effective. So deep learning tasks, this is where you start working. And of course, I think I can show you the hand miner, which is uh, not an S17, but it's a different one. I'll show you that. It's a T17E. So let me just carry that. It's a tough one. It's a very tough board, by the way. Let me just show you that. Oh God, man. This is how big it is, the ant miner. So the T17 ant miner is this. So lot of things has to be done from your side. This doesn't work like that. You need to configure the contracts, you need to configure the smart contracts, you need to do everything which is related to that entire infrastructure. So what you just do is you just take these miners and just do all these kind of things. So let me just share my screen again. So why don't just share my screen again? So I'll end this talk very soon so that you will get to know okay what is the requirement, everything. I think Shaitali did an amazing job about doing all these things. So I think Shaitali ma'am, thank you so much. Varun, can you just do share screen again? All right, why is this not taking much time? All right, folks, thank you so much for taking in. So let's just go to that demo and let me just show you the code and let me just go through and walk through all the things that we are talking about. So this is a solidity program that we are just doing. I am just doing it so that it becomes much more easier for you to run. You need not have to learn anything new. Everything is sorted for you. So it's very simple. I just clicked on the right click and I did that. So you can rename, delete, publish the file to the gist, and also you can compile the code. So this is how it is. Flatten is basically not required. Flatten is an useless topic. You don't have to do it very frequently, but compile is something which it does. And let me just show you how the compile is. So just look at the magic of all these compiles which are already there. So there are nightly builds. Nightly ka matlab there is going to be much more effective and much more faster builds. If you think of what is a TensorFlow nightly and all these kind of topics that you're talking here, it's going to be much more challenging. So nightly, just take this definition. It's a simple term, a simple build that is being affected at one given point of time. You can compile it, can go for the IPFS, and that is just not going to change. Just keep this last first four and last four. You will know that okay, this is not changing at any given point, even if I compile it 100 times. So first four is here and last four is here. So this is an hash thing, right? So four numbers doesn't change. So it will either be one unique and rest of it will always be changing. So this is how it is. So once you have a smart contract, it lies with you. And if you start changing it, there'll be a new hash generated, but with an information of it. So this is how it is at every given point of time. Let me just explain you one of it and let me just go ahead with all the other definitions here. So pragma.solidity. So you're saying packages imported and functions here. So you're now saying that okay, so now you have a different definition here. So let's get all the things sorted here with respect to a package, and all these additions will be done through it. So you're now saying that okay, let's name this coin as the contract. Let's add the address to the minters or the miner. Minters is basically an variable where I'm saying, okay, there will be one public address where I'm not going to affect any of the hashes that is going to be generated. I'm not going to store it locally, but it's going to be global at one given point of time. And now what I'm doing is I'm just taking the mapping of it. I'm just putting it in the public balances. Public balances are basically public ledger. So keep this in mind. It's all ledgered in one complete infrastructure called as blockchain. Just like how internet came in with all the www dot, the ports, the processes, the IPs, and the things like that. Here you have ashes. That's it. So I think there is one person called as I don't know, but like, okay, I'll go 1 tera hashes per second is hashes per second are consumption. So you can see that, right? 3420 watts of power is being generated. So that's where miners have their own charm in the market. So everybody can't have this amount of tariff, right? So this is where you are getting all these things sorted. So this is what you did. So you are putting it in a miner and you're now saying it in the public infrastructure. So this is all public and anybody can start accessing it at any given point of time. Let's say there is a new event which says send a new event. So new event has been occurring, and what you just can do is you can say to yourself like, hey, there was a public infrastructure I started using, right? So this was one of the steps that you can go through, and event from and event to, and the amount the transaction that happened will be always generating a new hash. But this has been already been there on the blockchain infrastructure and the Ethereum infrastructure, right? So you need not have to do much, just go ahead and just get the transaction sorted. So this can be an Flutter app which can have a backend of a Solidity, which can be a React app, can have a backend of a Solidity, but the amount of transactions ever done will always be unique and will be there for you. So let's say, what is the one ETH value? One ETH to INR. So, God, it's 1,99,258 rupees. So it has already increased by 3.75%. Ka matlab it's already increased by 7,000 rupees. So if you take the 5-day wala thing, so there is always an increase and a decrease in the market at some given point of time. 1 million, 6 million YTD, 1 year, 5 years, max to max of it. So how much was it? So it's always taken and it's always given to you. So what you're just doing here is you're just simply minting those at one given point of time. So Ethereum miners are also there, but Ethereum is in software infrastructure, which is there in front of you. Keep this in mind. It's going to be much more easier and simple when we go to the advanced demos using Truffle, Ganache CLI, and there is also another demo that I wanted to show, but like today it was like, okay, fine, too much of work from Chetali ma'am, and also if we just keep explaining a lot of things, right? Probably this is going to be much more challenging. And I have one more demo on Web 3.0. We'll go through that and we'll end the session. That's fine, right? So later on, there was a new definition like, okay, saying that I'm going to mint some addresses, I'm going to receive it, and I'm going to store it in amount, and that will be the variable of it. And look at the fact that it requires 1 into 10 to the power of 60 is the amount of transaction that it can do. Probably lifetime amount of transactions can be done with this simple program. So this is where you are actually receiving a good amount of participation from your compute, as well as you are actually doing great work here. So let me just say one thing, actually Azure is actually out of their entire infrastructure. So let me just show you how they are out. All their packages are outdated. So let me just go world.co.in, Azure, Ethereum, mining. If you say how to mine Ethereum on Azure and things like that, this used to work, but this never started working after September, May, this ended off the bot, this support for this one. Azure Blockchain. So there was something called as Azure Blockchain Services, which just got deprecated, and now there is Consortium Quorum. What Quorum is basically plethora of nodes of blockchain or the miners which has been simulated on some software. So this is what it is. So Azure Confidential Ledger Preview is also there. You guys can take all these into system. Of course, Azure Database Ledger is there, which is basically a serverless SQL DB. It's basically SQL DB, but works as a blockchain. So this is what it is. And everything has been taken care. So all these Azure workbenches, the services, everything is getting deprecated. Let me just show you how also. Azure Workbench. If you just do that, it used to come, right? So Azure Blockchain. Or else let me just show you here only. There's no resources here. So I'll go to create new resources. I'll check the blockchain. blockchain is here, and you can see that there is no services which you can create. Ethereum proof consortium, chain core development edition, right? Let me just show you how these are all being deprecated. So that means they have lost the support. Whatever you do, it's not going to work at any given point of time. The size of this VM is not being supported, which used to be supported back then, but now it's not being supported. And let me just show you one more. I think Ethereum consortium is always there. So it's deprecated, it's deprecated, it's deprecated, it's deprecated. No, it's all deprecated here. So it's all that. So what we could do is we could actually give you this, or else if we could give you this infrastructure. But I thought, okay, let me just show the minting of the coin using the remix only, so that you guys will understand what is this all about. So let me just say you what is this code actually. So it's now calling the messages or sender, that is your miner, and saying mine, start mining at every given point of time. And your required hashes is here. And whatever you receive, store it in terms of the balance. So every hashes that is being generated will be stored in the IDFS value here. And if you can click on this, you can see that there was good amount of commits which happened. The language solidity, the output is ABI, the inputs, the statement, everything will be there in your infrastructure. So you can see that, okay, there is name, from, type, everything has been taken. This is still the JSON input, but it has its entire information. So now look at all the addresses, the events that have happened. So see that there is 256 HSA 256 algorithm. So it has been taking 256 bit rates, and it's been taking in terms of the amount. And look at the magic here. So you already have an hash rate which is already being generated. This can be your unique address at every given point of time. So all these things are the simple ways to understand the entire infrastructure. So let's just move ahead with some more of the code, and we'll go through Web 3.0 demo, which is there about ledgering and everything. So let's say at one given point of time, I have an immense amount of compute power, and I say that, okay, there has been a caller, there has been an address which is coming in. What should I do now? And now, what you can say, insufficient balances can also lead to insecure transaction, right? I'm basically saying that if there is a transaction required, amount less than or equal to balances, message to the sender, insufficient balance. And you're basically decreasing the amount and saying that, okay, if it becomes complete zero, that's fine. Just go ahead and just delete off that entire transaction which has been done, and just keep all that hashes for me so that I'll have an information. So this is what you're saying. And now if there is a balance which is received, it will be sent. And guess what this code does? Very simple, very simple. It's going to call your messages and the receiver, and the amount will be transacted. So all these things will be transaction. All these things will be basically saying amount in wallet. So this is what I was talking about. And now what this requires is the message to the sender saying that decrease the transaction. So this is what you're saying. So all these things basically is dependent on computer. So this is what I'm talking here. A very simple way to understand all different things that I've been explaining. So this is what we are doing. So if you guys could explain all of this tomorrow as well, that's not a problem, but get to know what is the requirement of the hour right now. So okay, now we have different artifacts that have been generated. So let me just compile these. I think probably deploy contracts. So contracts will be compiled. I think contracts will be compiled. Contracts will be compiled. And everything has been taken care here. So just look at the magic of it. You guys can go check out all different sort of an interaction which is happening in the web. And the artifact just came here because that was not an artifact. If the artifact goes out, it can be hacked at any given point of time. So this is what we are doing. So very simple. You're now saying the same old way of calling the packages. You're now calling a storage saying that, okay, have a secure transaction. It's basically defining SHA-256 algorithm. So SHA-256 algorithm has been done. And guess what? The number of interactions is going to be stored in the number variable. So that is where you're calling num. And that is where number is storing all the different interactions. And if it's somewhere lost, it's just going to retrieve by the numbers itself. So there is a return value which is taking place. So this is where storage is coming into the picture. So now an owner's information is basically an address. So now what it's just taking in is a bird's eye view of an entire infrastructure, and it's now looking for similar addresses. As soon as it finds a similar address, and it's going to say that, hey, this guy was the owner for that transaction that happened on a Bitcoin. And a ballot is very simple. So an voter, wait, number of times he has voted. So if you want to define it as one, you can define it as one. You want to delegate it, you can delegate it. You can vote the vote for which of the candidate has been taken. So this is basically a simple infrastructure that we have right now for saying who has been voting. And now an voter count is here, by name, the voter count, everything has been taken. So this is a simple application that we just went ahead and we started trying to deploy it on the web. So now there is one variable for chairperson. You can also do it for president as well, but you have to change it in different places. Let's say president, chairperson. So there are 5 people. So I think I can do president here. President. President. Let's say chairperson here. Let's say president. Only chairpersons. Okay. So there are 2, right? So let me just take it as president and president. So I think this is going to have a new transaction right now. So I compiled it. Let me just see what was the hash rate which was being generated. So, all right. So this is what your hash rate was all about. So DWeb, PDFS and everything. Let me just show you the recent one, which I did on the IPFS. So this is the new IPFS which has been taken, and standards have been already been given here. So you need not have to do much here. You just have to go out there and look at all these artifacts which are being generated. And these artifacts will say you how many commits happened, what and all happened. So data science, if you are looking, it's not just data science, it's just simple analytics, which will give you all the answers here. So in a similar way, we are calling for that president wala voter. If somebody has voter, the voter will be having his own hashes, right? That will be unique for this entire blockchain infrastructure. And the blockchain will be taking place with all different sort of an entity here. So you can go ahead, you can start running it. And now, let's say you are now having some sort of an construction. So the message has been sent, the weight has been added, the proposal name or the length has been given. Ka matlab, every time there is one name for Vishwas, there is going to be a proposal name which is being generated for Vishwas only. And that I++ value is going to be added. And proposal name for, let me say, Namrata has been added. So what happens is that hash value is going to be generated. So initial count value is going to be 0. And next it's going to be added for every person name. So proposal name I, which will always be generated. And also this is now the code for the voters. This is now the code for the people who are delegating the votes. So delegated to the person saying that, okay, he has been delegated as one of the voters and he's been removed out of the infrastructure. Now he wants to enter, he's not able to enter. And see the magic of it. Every time that I started changing, guess what? This IPFS value still remains the same, but this value keeps on changing. And there is an algorithm which is SHA 512, you can use that, but you key kekak 256 is just going to give a value of it, and it's going to be general purpose license 3.0. So it's all public at the end of the day right now, for right now, but you can also make it private later on as well. So this code here is just a simple definition, which is just going to say like, hey, the voter has been taken care and he has already voted, and there is going to be a new proposal which will be coming up. So now what he has is sender weight has been added, and everything end to end has been taken into the consideration. So this is where small codes from the solidity is going to have a big impact on your online transaction. So decentralized way of doing your voting has been taken care here. And of course, let's just go to the small code piece of code here. So very simple. If somebody is already winning, you're basically saying he has been proposed as the speaker here. So let's just go ahead and just put him as the winner here, and just increase the proposal length. And the T plus plus is going to define him winning. So winning variable is here, and nobody has an access to it. Let me just say, apart from that guy who doesn't know the sequence bits of all these hashes and all, anybody can't enter it. The only person who knows all those hashes and everything can enter it. So we'll go ahead, we'll do out some demos here as well, so that's not a problem. All right, so there is already taken care of something else, so we'll go ahead, we can start working on that. That's not a problem. Which was 92345@gmail.com. Please enter the VN39. I forgot the name. I forgot the things, but we'll go ahead and we can do that as well. So wait for me for a while, so we can go ahead, we can start doing. And of course, automatically winner will be given. So he will be taken in as a winner, and winner will be taken here. So winner is announced through this variable. So what we talk in terms of proposal will be giving the variable of winner, where of winner. So there you have it. Simple application, simple infrastructure codes. You had everything that was changing. Now if I just recompile it, there is going to be no new changes which has been happening. And if I change something on the ballot or sol, the solidity program, there is not going to be any change, because all these variables will be tight and packed in this infrastructure. So I think probably I can give you this upload. I think probably I can give you this entire thing here. So let me just go ahead and grab all the download a backup. Let me just show you that. This folder is empty. Why? Restore backup and everything. So load from GitHub. So let me just put this in GitHub only. Are you sure you want to put it in a public? Just close. All right. So it's all very bad here. So let me just keep it in the GitHub. So we'll copy all these ballot codes. This test codes will be always there. So I'll make sure that this comes in the GitHub repository so that you will understand how it is. So let's just go with this demo. This is the last and the final demo. I had a demo on this one. What do you call the event grid and everything? So I don't know what happened, but like all of a sudden it started breaking. So this is why I sometimes hate it. But I also love blockchain to some extent. Wait, let's do this. VN3360. VN3360 049 at gmail.com. So we entered in passwords, new, delete, done. So what is the name of the password? Oh, I already forgot that, dude. So let's keep it. Let's say whether this will be coming up, but I don't know whether this will be coming up. All right, let's do it Vishwas only because we don't have to have too much of things. So create a new network. Of course, you can create a new Ethereum network, but every time that is having an existing, you can't do that. So let's just say creating a new network is the best option. So let's just go with that. And I think validation has been failed because Ethereum settings has to be done. Yeah, member ID Vishwas Narayan 2345 at Gmail. Okay, member ID 222. Let's keep it 22. Network ID is 10. Admin Ethereum address. Okay, let's just do alphanumeric characters. Random alphanumeric generators. Let's say 25. Number of strings 5. Output in uppercase or lowercase, I don't mind. So, all right, let's just do this. Let me just copy it and paste it here. It's very, very expensive if you just smoke it up. Must be a valid Ethereum address 0x or something, right? 0x. So, okay, I don't think I have an Ethereum address right now because I can't show it also. So let's just keep this because this is deprecated, right? So I can't enable this admin Ethereum address. So okay, I started off with 0x, right? Let's say Vishwas 123 capital Z or something. Must be a valid Ethereum account address. Oh god, man, I can't have that today. I forgot what is where I kept it, but okay, this is how it is. So you can't have that now. That's not a problem. We can change that premium SSD and everything. But it's all deprecated. I don't know why it's not coming up here today. And also some of the packages are also not getting installed all of the sudden. That's the worst part about blockchain is that Truffle install on Ubuntu. Let's see how the created DApp app is going to work here. Sudo. Let me just do sudo here. Bastion Vishwas. So let me just connect. I think this is going to connect and we'll be having something here. So don't worry about that. So we all we all still use the same old infrastructure, right? So that's not a problem. So Truffle has to be installed. Ganache has to be installed. So we'll go ahead. We can go do it. So Truffle migrate. Everything has been done. So serve will be in 8080 port. ACSDA fingerprint has been asked. So I think somebody named Abhishek Kumar actually did this, but you can go to the read the docs and you can do that. It still works the same way. I don't know why maze found is not being taken care. Ganache CLI, yes, we need a Ganache CLI, so we'll go ahead and we can start working there for the Ganache CLI. All right, it's going to take a lot of time now, dude. But okay, we'll go ahead with the demo. That's not a problem. So you saw that, right? You know how you generate the account. So we'll go ahead and we can generate an account, or else it's not even required as well. So don't worry about that. Init Truffle projects, mkdir, my projects, Truffle init, Truffle compile, Truffle migrates. Truffle build, Truffle serve, everything can be taken care here. So NPM has been taken care. So subscription, transports. So what I told, everything will be taken care, right? So Apollo software, everything has been taken care by them only. So it's just simple installations. I did npm, but it did come up. But we can do npm sudo npm ganache CLI. I think this is going to work for me. So even if you go for the smart contracts on this one, on Azure, I think there was one introduction to smart contracts or anything. This is going to give you a complete insight about the end-to-end infrastructure, so you guys can take it. Shit Salim, hi sir, hello man, how are you? So let's just do Ganache CLI. Audit fix. Nahi, 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 nahi. Packages are looking for funding. Array. Why should you need run audit for details? Nahi, nahi. Audit fix. Let's do this npm fund and see. npm audit. All right, that's not a problem. I don't know why none of the tools will get done, man. That's the problem here. So truffle in it. So copying projects files done. So truffle compile. Been taken care right now. It's a same old step. I don't think so. You don't have to do much here. It just gives you some random accesses and IDs and things like that. And all right, let's see what was the builds that was happened. cd slash ohms build slash contracts. Why? All right, so ls artifact. So if I do cat mitigation.json and look at the fact, whatever I did here will be done the same way there, right? So let me just go and grab one of my coin.sol. So we can go ahead and we can do compile that as well. So that's not a problem. So it's cd. Uh, nano. I can do nano, but like gedit. There's no code server here. That's the problem. Code. Nano coin.sol and wait. Control S, code 669, Control X, Control Q. So cat coin.sol, but this is going to be challenging. Truffle file coin.sol. So compiling your contracts, everything is up to date. There's nothing to compile. So it's basically saying that okay, there has already been compilation which has been done. So why do you want to really change that? Also, you can go ahead how to compile the Solidity code. So there you can have it, because a lot of times you can go ahead and run the same old contracts and everything. You still will be generated in hash code. but it will not work for you. So since this was a code which had already been there on an entire Ethereum infrastructure, so the Truffle then start compiling it. So I think probably let's do Truffle build. So if you do Truffle build, it's going to build all the things. So it's just Truffle serve. Output will always be displaying it. Truffle serve. Everything is up to date. And truffle.docs. Dashboard. Everything which will be taken care here will be done. And I think serving in the app completed without an error. You can add all these things. So similar as that, you can change the different ports. You can have different tests. Truffle publish also you can do. So you need to repost. Okay, this is not like this infrastructure. Like, okay, the other thing is Azure doesn't support all these kind of hashes, but like what we wanted to show you was how can we really go ahead and we can get into this infrastructure without doing a lot of nasty things on the smart contract or anything, but Truffle has all the things. So this is where Azure infrastructure is for you. So you need not have to do much of a work. Just go ahead, grab some infrastructure on the Truffle and everything. So you are sorted for the rest of your life. So I think that's it from my side, folks. I think I'll make sure that all these code will be there in the things that I'll be giving. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much. And I think Varun is there. Varun has to come up on stage and we
Yep.
can go ahead with the other things. Man, blockchain as a service is very complex. I think this is what I use for the deep learning. I think I removed it from my own server, but I don't use it for mining any Bitcoin. So no offense from my side because I'm not here to go to jail. But like blockchain has its own use cases. Let me just say one of the use cases. We are now streaming in, right? So let's say there is an URL which is being generated that is randomized and that's unique. And now let's say there is somebody else who is trying to enter the same StreamYard stream and we don't know who is that guy. That's
Yeah.
going to be very bad, right? And now Warren has the control of it. He can remove me from the stream, he can add me from the stream and things like that. So this is where blockchain has its own trend and also has its own pitfalls in the way it's been architected as well. So let's see, let's learn something new every single day. I think what I just did was what was also being available in what do you call all the VMs that we were supposed to create. So the Truffle, the Canat CLI will always be available there as well. So simple steps, simple concepts. You can be a billionaire if you are sitting and coding your Ethereum servers and everything. But let's take it step by step. It's going to be sustainable market at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Varun. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And of course,
No,
career
it's
opportunities and training in 3.0. Sorry, you need to explore it on your own. But the books are available. The white paper on, I think I can share you one white paper. I'll share you one white paper. White paper on SQL Ledger is here. So Azure white paper on the SQL Ledger is here. So you guys can download it and start doing whatever you want to. Oh, it's very big. So let me just do the tiny.cc link so that you guys will get to know what is this. WP SQL LEDGE white paper ledger. So I think that's been generated. So you guys can go to this link. You guys can start working. Simple steps, simple money. That's what blockchain is all about. So you can have your own initial coin offering. That's your ICO through these kind of solidity and all these programming. Let's say Kafka wants to do it one day. Kafka has an amazing stream, Lambda and a Kappa architecture portfolio, right? Let's say they want to move to the blockchain of it. So now they have the name, now they have an ICO, and they'll be a billionaires at the next of the day. Next second, they'll be billionaires. That's how this technology is. So it's just the need of the hour being analyzed, and then you are the king in the market. Thanks, Varun. I think it's time for us to go ahead and
Yeah, I think there are no more doubts in the chat section, so we are good to wrap up with the session. And we all must be thankful for Vishwas to come here and teach us how to be billionaire in next second. And thank you very much for coming here and devoting almost 2 hours and spreading your knowledge with so good explanation. Actually, I was enjoying at the backstage listening to each and everything, how nicely you were explaining this is the chipset, this thing happens, then this hash is generated, how to eradicate the corruptions.
yeah,
It was not a technological thing. It was means from every domain the person can come and he can grab the knowledge of
yep,
general GK or anything that what's going to be happening in the future, how the industry is going to transform, what
yeah.
all
I
things are
think
going. Yeah.
Satoshi Nakamoto, the concept that I said is probably an UPSC question. So I'll say you why. Because Satoshi Nakamoto is only mentioned in one white paper in blockchain, and nowhere
Yeah.
his name has come up. And he is considered as the inventor of the blockchain, but yet there are no facts that are coming up to say that he was the ultimate inventor of it. So there are different names coming up in the market. Don't know where it will end. So it can be an UPSC question also. So any यूपीएससी folks here? So आईएएस क्वेश्चन के लिए तैयारी अभी भी हम कर रहा है.
Yeah, surely this is going to be a very trendy topic, and it is after the release of the budget of this year. This the blockchain technologies and everything is in, you
Yeah,
know, very
boom.
much boom. And you can say there is a buzzword at each and every place. Everyone is talking about what is blockchain, what is crypto. But the thing about Indian investors is that they are suffering from huge losses. Let's not take that
Yeah,
part.
that's
So
always there.
thank you,
Thank-
Vishwasa, for coming here and delivering 2 hours long. So nice learning session it was. And guys, if you are interested, you can please join us our Discord server of Azure Developer Community where we conduct regular quizzes. As today also, right now at 8, we are having a quiz. So if you are part of the Discord server, do join the quiz. All the winners are going to get prizes from Microsoft. And stay tuned for the learning and how to become billionaire with Vishwas sir and Azure Developer Community. So till
Thank
then,
you so
stay
much,
tuned.
folks.
Good night. Bye bye. Stay safe and see
Thank
you
you so
soon.
much.